Okay, so and I'm gonna start sharing my screen. Um, okay. Share. Can people see my screen? What do people see?
Yes, Sam, we see it.
Okay, great, great. Okay, good. Okay. So I'm going to okay. So here, okay. So we've been meeting with legislators and a small committee to talk about JDEP and YCEP funding. And so from after one of our meetings, they asked for our PowerPoint spreadsheets and applications that were shared. And then so here is the things that were sent over. And and then there I noticed there's a typo on here. So and then what I wanted to do is I wanted to share with everybody what was shared so there's no one is caught off guard and everyone is aware of what's going on. And so this is a PowerPoint, and this is a template. So, and then we shared that it's for, because they wanted information on 3 years, and for YCEP JDEP, and we showed our JDEP ADM, our YCEP ADM, our unduplicated count and ADM. As you could see for JDEP, always, we have a lot more kids that cycle in, even though our ADM is low compared to YCEP. Race, ethnicity, and we shared. And of course, unfortunately, more students of color make it to YCEP than JDEP. JDEP is a feeder system, so we want to put that in. They wanted age breakout for 3-year total, and gender, and thankfully, less females make it to YCEP than in JDEP, and so forth. They wanted to know number of classrooms. Um, they wanted to know days of enrollment. As you could see, as we shared earlier before, JDEP, a good number of them are less than 10 days, and like roughly, gosh, like 94 are for like less than 30 days, right? And then for YCEP, less than 90 days is here. Yeah. So we shared that data. Um, they wanted to know how many kids have multiple enrollments or frequent, and we kind of say frequent flyers for JDEP. These were frequent flyers for YCEP, and how many of them got diplomas and GED. Um, and they wanted to know how many of YCEP kids go from YCEP to DOC. Um, and and we shared that. And they wanted to know special ed compliance data, and we got the special ed compliance data from similar to what school districts do for SPR and I file reviews. We presented that data. Here's YCEP. And so this is the data that was presented. And then they wanted the source because like, as you could see, and then so this is the source data, but then of the source data, what we did not put here is like, remember, like here's demographics, and we have to adhere to ODE policy where cells of 5 or less are starred out. Our JDEP graphs, YCEP demographics, YCEP graphs, number of classrooms, our split compliance data, JDEP enrollments, YCEP enrollments, 3-year graph of ADM because of COVID, which has gone down. We also shared final graph of final ADM. And then here, they wanted to know funding 3 years. So here's a chart of current 21-22 funding, 2021 and 19-20, based on ADM. And then so this was shared with the legislature. Yep. And then also what they wanted, as remember, so they wanted applications too, right? They wanted the applications, and what they meant was each of the JDEP sites for 21-22, they submitted applications for their funding. And so these are all the applications that were submitted. And we shared that with the legislature. And then this was shared. I recommended because they wanted a formula by methodology by mid November. And we shared for JDEP and YCEP, instructional teacher, including CTE services, SPED, ELO 504, education related, clerical registrars, services, school administrator, funding for substitute teachers, indirect rate, and a total of 15% for supplies and services, and so forth. And then yesterday we met with them, a small subcommittee, and we said that in a small committee, we refined the language and so forth. Sorry. Yeah. And then we came up with some proposals, and neither Adam and I took screenshots. So they're gonna hammer out, wordsmith it, and probably come out and send it out. So that's where we're at for JDEP and YCEP funding for proposals. Does anyone have questions? And this was predicated by, I should have brought that up. This was predicated by, because of the fact that for JDEP YCEP, we have that budget note. It's related.
Just to be perfectly clear, everyone, this may evolve into something and it may not evolve into anything. These are just proposals that have been asked for.
Correct. Yep. And then here, when I go to detention. Yeah. So here, remember our budget note for YCEP JDEP, we got 8 million, JDEP got 5.2 million, YCEP got 2.8, and here how we're supposed to send out the money based on equity, based on characteristics, based on students served, and for special ed. And it says here, the additional general fund was transitional, and then we're to report back and come up with a proposal. Yep. So does anyone have any questions? And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And Adam, feel free to chime in for anything else.
One thing that I want to clarify that Sam talked about, JDEP sites all did an application system to tell Sam what they wanted and needed for their programs and stuff. YCEP did not do that. And the big reason why YCEP did not do that is because YCEP didn't have the funds that JDEP had to go down that process. We didn't get, we basically got about half of what JDEP got, so.
And as Adam mentioned, these are all preliminary. It's not even a bill yet or whatever. It's just talking, discussing, like brainstorming. Some legislators will take a look at it and see whether they want to put into a short session or the next session and so forth. So, but for this biennia, as Adam mentioned, JDEP got 5.2, YCEP got 2.8. So we're safe for this biennia, but then even as the budget note states, it is transitional. It's meant to be transitional funding, until a new model is developed. Yeah, but then, yeah, it's yeah, Adam, we're happy. We're glad that we have the attention of the legislature, and we're yeah, and like I'm a little bit more optimistic than Adam. That's just my nature. I'm kind of good natured. As some of you know me. Yeah. So yeah, I'm hopeful. And the fact
Sam?
that
Link,
we
Yeah.
got a lot more, we got like, 5.2 million this biennial for JDEP, right? Which is a 75% increase.
Sam, is there any talk about what that new model might look like?
Um,
Go ahead, Bridget.
yeah, we kind of said here, like these are services that each JDEP site should have, but then the model would be like, for instance, the level, like for instance, like here, like teacher 1.0, like, SPED, it could be like 0.5, 0.25, it's up to each site, like school registrar, school admin 0.1 or 0.2 and so forth. Yeah. And then because,
We're
and
looking
then
at
like,
another minimum staffing level type deal where it's just the bare minimum that every program should have.
kinda, yes, because we're saying these are the things that all of our JDEP sites and YCEP sites need. And based on, feedback and based on the applications that JDEP sites submitted, for 21-22 funding. Yes. Kind of like, and everybody, what Brian is alluding to is LTCT, and then LTCT was brought up too, and then in 2015, here's our latest, LTCT was, we also had a budget note and directed ODE to fund, is this big enough for everyone to see? Yeah, so here,
Enriquez, are you on the air?
yeah, so they wanted us to fund one teacher, 2 EAs for up to 10 kids, and once you hit 15, you get a third EA, and once you hit 20,
Copy,
you
thank
get
you.
you get a second classroom. So this is how long-term care treatment is done and so forth. Yep. And then of course, similar to our JDEP, we had to report back to the legislature on how it went and so forth. Yeah. So that's what Brian is alluding to. For long-term care treatment, we have the minimum staffing level where each classroom has this it doesn't have, so this is staffing level. Our JDEP model, YCEP model is staffing services, and so forth. So that's the difference.
Control groups for each to add
Yeah. So here we're asking to fund services. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, and then we're also asking for a legislative fix so that we could fund educational related transition reentry services or people, because we all know that, right? Yeah. To connect them to employment or, job training or the next school and so forth, educational related. Yep. So that's a good question, Brian. Any other questions? Okay, so if no
With
other
that-
question, oh, sorry.
Sorry, I was just thinking about it. I mean, so where it varies from the minimum staffing level, with it being a minimum service level. So if you would still get funded for that, say 0.25 SPED, ELL, or 504 services, but your teacher could actually be your SPED teacher as well. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes, yeah, yes, because here too, yeah, we didn't put in because, yes, because that's where this small paragraph comes in, because we also felt because JDEP and YCEP, that's the thing with minimum staffing level for LTCT. No LTCT site is similar to each other. Everyone is different mental health providers, different classroom requirements, treatment requirements, and JDEP, we vary in size for JDEP from 2 kids, versus like 14 kids, and then so forth. So some sites may need a registrar, some sites may not. Like for Mount Nebo, Mary has been there for quite a while, but and then because she's been there for quite a while, your funding may be needed for the 1.0.
Exactly. That's
like
exactly what I was thinking of.
yeah, like
Cost me more
like
than some administrators.
right, like you know what I'm saying, right, Brian? So like you may say, maybe some of our 15% might have to go to her salary, or because she's SPED certified, we don't need another SPED, but then we need that money from SPED to supplement that teacher salary, right? Yeah, because she's very experienced. Yep. Remember, these are just proposals and nothing is set in stone until the governor signs and everything, right? And everyone is aware of that. Yeah. Oh, I stopped sharing my screen. I'm so sorry. Oh no, I'm so sorry. Okay. Any other questions? Justin Llewellyn, you normally have a lot of questions. You're very quiet today.
Oh, I'm just kind of catching up to speed here, Sam, but I guess needing to see that breakdown here at YCEP of the 2.8 amongst the various facilities would probably only be the thing I'd like to be able to have my eyes on,
It's right here.
probably, because it was 2.8, correct?
Yes,
Well,
it's for the biennia. So that's
That
why
was
it
for the
has to be
biennia.
capped. Yeah.
Justin, I'm going to tell you that it was about 1.3 that we used this year. And of that 1.3, 600,000 or 700,000 of it right off the top just kept everybody harmless. And that's why if you look at the per classroom funding for YCEP versus for JDEP, there's a difference because we didn't have the money that JDEP had.
Yeah.
So could people see the spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, so like here's year one general fund, just like here, like as Adam alluded to, JDEP got 2.5 million. And then here's this too, YCEP gets a lot more in state school fund. As we all know, JDEP doesn't get that much, state school fund, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shannon, you have any questions, Shannon, from Tillamook?
Sorry, just had to find my unmute button. I just have one question. Are you going to send this out to us? This spreadsheet right here on the 21-22 funding?
Okay, it's with the major, it's with all the other tabs, because we just sent one,
Yeah.
For those of you that want it, just email me and I can send it to you. But then I don't want to just send a blast, because what it is, my email listserv has a whole bunch of people, and then like over 50 something people and only 22 participated. So if you want the attachments, I'm asking that you email me directly and I'll forward it to you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from anybody?
Yes, Sam, this is Joy. I'm calling in. Can you hear me?
Yes, Joy, we can hear you. And enjoy. Since,
Okay, great.
Okay, go.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm wondering, I'm listening. Oh, is that me echoing? No. So I'm hearing about this over to the next point. Are you going to say, okay, this is where you're looking for additional, for example, classroom furniture or some of those big ticket items, and are you going to disperse that? And I know that's a long way off, but you know how I like to plan. Thank you.
As of right now, I think for 22, 23 for JDEP, we might go with the same procedure. Unless there's new legislative direction, because the budget note did state these are the as it says here, we have to distribute the resources based on equity, characteristics of facility, by the number of students of and by the percentage. So that's the budget note, and then as you know, budget notes are law for that biennial. So until the legislature tells us to distribute JDEP funding a different way, I think we might continue with this process. Does that answer your question, Joy?
Okay.
And Sam, was that,
Yes, sort of. I'm just wondering, after 22, 23, if there's leftover funding, do you have to give it back? Or do we, and if so, how are we gonna accelerate the spending of it? Kind of like I remember one time about 4 years ago, you said, hey, do your additional asks for the bigger ticket items, and we'll take a look at them.
Okay, so Joy,
Yeah.
so your question is, if JDEP and YCEP have leftover funding available, can we carry it over to 23-25 biennial? The question is, the answer is
Correct.
yes and no. Yes, we can carry state school fund over to the next biennial, but we cannot carry general fund over. So we cannot carry general fund, but we can carry state school fund. And in the past, when we had state school fund, that is how YCEP and JDEP were supplemented, because there's no way our ADM, could afford, one full-time teacher in previous biennial. So if for 23-25, we may need to reserve some of our state school fund again, like if the legislature doesn't invest 8 million again, and then YCEP does need, so we might have to tap into that reserve again, and then we are tapping into the reserve for YCEP this year. As you could, well, you're driving, sorry, but then as Adam is tapping into our reserve of like roughly $43,000 because of the general fund amount was not sufficient and so forth. So,
And folks, remember, that reserve pretty much got depleted last year just to get us through things. So there's not a big old piggy bank sitting there anymore like there used to be.
Got it. Thank you.
Hey, Sam, are you gonna send this funding sheet out that you have up right now? Like, are we gonna have access to that?
hi,
Okay.
Michael, long time no hear.
How you
Sure.
doing, buddy?
Yeah.
I'm just, because I'm just,
Email me and I'll send it out to you. Yeah.
that would be great, because I'm just looking and I just want to see where our amount is this year in comparison to previous years.
Oh yeah, it's right on the screen right here.
Yeah. So I see 21, 22, but can you scroll over to see 2021?
it's the
There
It's
we
right
go.
here.
138. Yep.
There we go. Thank you.
Can you
you
see
look
it now,
like-
Michael?
I can. Yeah.
And it shows like your ADM.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you went from 2.0 to 2.1 to 2.3.
Got it. Yeah.
And you're at 2.3 this year, even though you have less ADM.
Yeah. I see
Like
that.
last year you had 143, this year you have 123, but then you got an increase of roughly $200,000.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Does that answer your question, Michael?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? And this was sent before there was another request. So Jackson County, we had to add an additional 40 because of circumstances. So this is a little outdated already. So yeah. Anyone else if have any questions? Okay, if no one else has any questions, feel free to email or call Adam Henning if you have any other questions. And of course, you can call me too. I'm just playing. All right, thank you, everybody. I thought I was recording. Okay, I'm gonna stop recording now.